From a small island to the master of Europe, this is the story of a man who redrew the map of the world. Today, we're diving into the epic life of Napoleon Bonaparte. Born in Corsica in 1769, a place far from the glittering heart of French power, no one could have predicted the destiny awaiting young Napoleon Bonaparte. He was an outsider, teased for his accent at military school in France. But what he lacked in social grace, he more than made up for in ambition and sheer genius. The French Revolution was the perfect storm for a man like Napoleon. The old order was crumbling, and France was in chaos. While others saw danger, Napoleon saw opportunity. At the siege of Toulon, his brilliant use of artillery forced the British to retreat, earning him a promotion to brigadier general at the age of just 24. His star was on the rise. He then went to Italy, leading a poorly supplied French army to a series of stunning victories. His secret: speed, surprise, and an uncanny ability to inspire his men. He would tell them, "Soldiers, you are naked, ill-fed. I will lead you into the most fertile plains in the world." And he delivered. He returned to Paris not just as a general, but as a hero. But his ambition didn't stop there. The campaign in Egypt, while a military setback, was a masterpiece of propaganda. He brought scientists and scholars, uncovering ancient treasures and dazzling the public back home. By the time he returned to France in 1799, the government was weak and corrupt. Seeing his chance, he launched a coup d'état, becoming first consul. In just a few years, he had gone from an unknown officer to the most powerful man in France. As ruler, Napoleon proved he was more than just a general. He created the Napoleonic Code, a revolutionary legal framework that is still the basis of civil law in many countries today. He stabilized the economy with the Bank of France and reformed the education system. He was building a new, modern France from the ashes of the revolution. In 1804, he took the ultimate step. In a grand ceremony at Notre Dame Cathedral, he crowned himself Emperor of the French. The boy from Corsica was now on a par with the Caesars. The next decade was a whirlwind of conquest. At Austerlitz, his greatest victory, he crushed the combined armies of Russia and Austria. He was the master of Europe. He placed his family members on the thrones of conquered nations and seemed utterly invincible. The continent held its breath every time the French Grand Army marched. But every great story has a turning point. For Napoleon, it was the disastrous invasion of Russia in 1812. He led a massive army, over 500,000 men, deep into the vast Russian plains. But the Russians refused to fight a decisive battle. Instead, they retreated, burning everything in their path. Napoleon captured a deserted and burning Moscow, but with no supplies and the brutal Russian winter setting in, he was forced into a horrifying retreat. The Grand Army was decimated by starvation, freezing temperatures, and relentless Cossack raids. Only a fraction of his men made it back. The myth of his invincibility was shattered. A coalition of European powers, Britain, Russia, Prussia, and Austria, saw their chance. They closed in on him, defeating him at the Battle of Leipzig. The Battle of Nations. In 1814, they marched into Paris. Napoleon was forced to abdicate and was exiled to the tiny island of Elba. Everyone thought the story was over, but Napoleon had one last, incredible act. Less than a year later, he escaped from Elba, landed in France with a handful of followers, and began a march to Paris. The soldiers sent to arrest him instead joined him, chanting "Vive l'Empereur." He reclaimed his throne without a single shot being fired, beginning the period known as the 100 Days. The powers of Europe were horrified. They quickly assembled another army to stop him for good. The final showdown came on June 18, 1815, on a field in Belgium, Waterloo. It was a brutal, close-fought battle, but in the end, Napoleon was defeated. This time, there would be no comeback. He was exiled again, but this time to the remote, windswept island of St. Helena in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. For 6 years, he lived as a prisoner, dictating his memoirs and creating the legend that would outlive him. He died in 1821, at the age of 51. So what is his legacy? Was he a tyrant who plunged Europe into war, or a visionary leader who spread the ideals of the revolution? The truth is, he was both. He was a man of immense talent and even greater ambition, a figure whose life was more dramatic than any fiction. He shaped the modern world in ways we still feel today. And his name remains a symbol of power, genius, and tragic downfall. Thanks for watching our deep dive into the life of Napoleon. If you found this story as fascinating as we do, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more epic histories. Let us know in the comments which historical figure you'd like to see next. See you in the next video.